Astronaut, this is Brandy and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. Today's reading is what major life transition is coming your way. We have 5 files to choose from, but before we get started, I'm going to ask you to please like, to please comment, and to please subscribe. Also, if you would like to go live with me, I go live on the weekends. That is Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. I like to announce that by Tuesday night. So look for that announcement on the community tab. Also on the community tab, I always poll you wonderful astronauts. So if you are not a part of the polling and getting to see what readings possibly might be next, become a part of that. Look at that community tab and click on what reading you feel resonates with you. And you just might see that reading coming up next. Now let us jump into these piles. We have pile number 1. Pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Hey pile number 1, let's get into your major life transition. We have the 5 of Wands, we have the 6 of Wands. Don't you love that? We have the 7 of Cups, we have the 10 of Pentacles, and we have the card Prayer, the affirmation card Prayer. And I also want to get into these Astro Dice first. So let me shift this over to make sure it's in focus. And let me roll these Astro Dice to see this major life transition that is coming your way. Oh, they fell on the floor. Okay. So we have Pluto. Wow, that's perfect. Let's roll again. And we have Pisces and the 11th house. All right. So I love that Pluto energy, the energy of transformation. In the 11th house of friendships, dreams come true, hopes and wishes, gains from work, and that beautiful, imaginary, mystical sign of Pisces. Isn't that lovely? So, what I see here when it comes to these major life transitions, it looks like there may be a lot of transformation when it comes to who you surround yourself by. I know that's typical for the 11th house. It's the house of friends and networks and connections, as well as like social media as well. But that is what we see happening here when it comes to this. Like, you may be looking to connect with friends on a more spiritual level, which means maybe you decide that you want to make some new friends that align with maybe a more of a spiritual side or some additional values that you may have. Maybe you are looking for friends who may be more emotionally intelligent or mature, something along the lines of that, because Pisces is connected to that emotional intelligence factor. This can also have to do with, surrounding yourself with people who just may be on the same journey as you. Possibly you may have felt like you were surrounded by people who weren't supportive of your goals, weren't supportive of your ambitions, who may have been in competition with you, who may be jealous of you, who were more focused on themselves or spent a lot of time, talking about their own needs and desires and not neglecting you and, not considering your thoughts and feelings. It's kind of like someone just talking about themselves all the time. I know I used to have a bad habit of that. But anyway, it can represent having people who are more compassionate. It's more give and take, more reciprocity. Or is it more reciprocity? More reciprocity, that's right. When it comes to your inner circles, your outer circles, whatever the case may be. This can also be a change in the media you consume. Perhaps you say, I don't really like following these type of people on Instagram. I'm going to switch to following these people. I am going to change who I follow on YouTube, who I look at on TikTok, who I follow on Facebook. I'm going to do a cleansing when it comes to that. When Pluto comes in, it digs deep and it completely transforms a situation. You know, we've just got out of Pluto in Capricorn, and if we look at where it was in 2008, where there was some sort of ideal of structure for the government, at least in America, where we felt like we kind of had sort of like a system, maybe at the beginning of 2008, to how things are now, where things just seem like so up in the air and so chaotic, and like it's just like, wow, what is next? Like the way the system has the way America has looked at authority, and I think even maybe around the world, from 2008 till now, has been such a transformation, right? So you can imagine that type of transformation when it comes to the media you consume, the people you surround yourselves by, even when it comes to your long life goals. And it kind of mirrors your reading here, especially when we have this 10 of Pentacles here and the 6 of Wands, which can have to do with achievement and goals and accolades, which is all this 11th house type of energy. There could be a transformation when it comes to how you decide you want to live your life, how you decide that you want to envision your future, how you potentially see yourself being able to accomplish the things you want to accomplish. Because maybe sometimes the goals doesn't change, but the way that you go about achieving them may change. That's something to keep in mind as well. So that major life transition that's coming your way has to do a lot with the themes that I just talked about here when it comes to that. So it's not just this energy that is always outward, but it has to do with who you are as a person and how you are focusing, how you are choosing to focus your energy in your life, and how you choose to reorganize things and what you choose to get rid of. Whether that's you deciding, hey, I actually legitimately want to get rid of my friends, or it's you deciding, hey, actually, maybe we should just transform the way we communicate with each other. And that could be something to think about. But yes, for sure, this could possibly talk about ending a long-term friendship, especially with the 10 of Pentacles here in this reading. This is about new beginnings with the 10 of Pentacles. Like, hey, we've gone as far as we could on this road, and now it's time to move on. This can also represent saying, hey, you know what? I'm actually leaving behind the way I decide to make money through my work, which means, hey, I'm kind of changing a new field. That's possible with that energy coming here. Like, oh, we've reached the end of the road. I've gone too far. I've hit a glass ceiling when it comes to my work environment, and I've decided that this is just not working out for me. And then for some of you, this can represent literally just like graduating. Sometimes when we have the 11th house, it can just represent diplomas or degrees, or like I said, accomplishments in terms of that, which is like graduating college, graduating university, you know, getting a doctorate, getting some sort of postgraduate degree, something along the lines of that, especially when we have this 6 of Wands representing like a victory, and this 5 of Wands representing the fight that you had to go through, which lets me know this might have been like a struggle to get what you want. So there's something coming up here when it comes to this major life transition that has to do with wish fulfillment, getting what you want, and this being a sort of long-term goal that you've had to fight and put energy to, that is coming your way. Okay, I do want to say that. This could be anything from along the lines of, okay, for some of you, maybe retiring. Maybe you're like, I'm done with the hustle and bustle, like this 5 of Wands energy is coming in here. I'm sorry, guys. We went from the dice and we went straight into the reading, but when I see the connections, I see the connections. So we're just going to go with it. This can go from like, hey, I'm done with this daily grind. I'm done with hustle culture. I've graduated from hustle culture. I'm here to celebrate my successes and all the hard work that I've put in. And now we're kind of at this 7 of Cups moment, but the 7 of Cups is reversed. And so when the 7 of Cups is reversed, it's a little bit of a disillusionment in a way. It's kind of like someone burst your bubble, but not in a bad way, because it's following the 6 of Wands, which is like, oh, I've got something that I want. And it's no longer a fantasy. It's real. That's kind of what I'm getting here with this card, Seven of Cups. And that's only because after the Seven of Cups, we have the Ten of Pentacles. So it's no longer a dream. It's no longer fantasy. It's no longer something you've been hoping for and thinking about. It's right in front of you. It's tangible. You can touch it. You can feel it. You can smell it, whatever the case may be, you know, something along the lines of that. But either way, this represents some sort of accomplishment that you are getting, some sort of title, things along the lines of that maybe you have been pursuing. I'm trying to think of things people pursue to get titles in. I can only think about career things, and maybe you've been pursuing like a title at your work, and you've gone from assistant director to director or supervisor to manager, like something along the lines of that. Like I've put in the work, I've gone through the grind, and I've achieved that title that I have been longing to have. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind when we have this here. Because the Ten of the Pentacles does deal with family in a way, it makes me think that, you know, for some of you, this can represent maybe being open and honest with a particular family member. Usually the 11th house is like older brother, older sister in terms of that. But the only reason I say open and honest is because we have the Six of Cups reversed. And it's kind of like, okay, I think it's time to end this animosity we might have towards each other. And I think this might be more of a specific situation for maybe like 5% of you. But like, I have to throw that kind of energy out there. And it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody physically actually related to you. As I mentioned, the 11th house does connect to friends and something along the lines of that. So this can be saying, hey, let's bury the hatchet and let's come forward. So, but this would only have to be something where you've had a major rift with someone. This is like, we've been friends for a minute. We've had like some issues. And now it's come time to either patch things up or, you know, put our cards out on the table and say something, or not. Or we just move on to, you know, something better for both of us that aligns with both of our values, both of our needs, and what we hope to get out of a friendship. And that's something that maybe, I'm not going to say it's actually that difficult, because the only difficult card is the Five of Wands, which is a challenge, is a change, but the rest of the cards are pretty smooth sailing, if I'm going to be honest. So maybe in the beginning it's something to wrestle with for some of you, but for the most part this is like, okay, we're kind of moving on here when it comes to that. For some of you, I feel like this new transition period may have to do with achieving like a dream home in a way. And I'll say this, like the Seven of Cups is making me think that this thing that you've been thinking about, it's almost as if you had to reevaluate those plans, because the Seven of Cups, when it's reversed, it's like, okay, upright, I have so many options. Reverse is like, I kind of have not as many options as I think. So I have to reevaluate exactly what is that's out there, that's achievable for me, that I can get, that's going to be something that I can put my paws on, that I can actually, you know, sink my hands into and reach and get. But it is something that is going to be good, you know, essentially. But it kind of makes sense because we have this Pluto in Pisces energy. And like I said, that Pluto energy going into anything, any sign, any house, any placement is going to give you a hard dose of reality. It's like it's a little bit harsher than Saturn, to be completely honest. And so when we have this here, it's like, yes, you can get your dream home, but now you're seeing everything that comes with it. And so this major life transition, though it's going to be giving you something that you want and that you desire and that you feel like, wow, I had to work so hard with it, there's a few things under the floorboards, no pun intended, that you're going to have to check out and that you're going to have to deal with. And it's going to be worth it, and you're going to feel like it's a great investment of your time. But I just want you to be aware of that, is what I am saying. But like, I'm not trying to like strike any fear into someone, because honestly, these cards are super positive. They're very encouraging. They're letting me know that you are somebody who has really been grinding away. You've really been grinding away, and you've really been putting your energy into whatever this thing is that you have been dreaming of for so long, okay? And for so long, it's like showing to me so clearly, okay? And what I love about this is, if you've had any sort of indecision about what these next steps are in your life, or what direction you're going to go in, then the Seven of Cups represents clarity. It represents making a decision. It represents being at a place where you feel like, yes, this is right for me. Okay? Where you are narrowing things down. And I'll give you an example. Me personally, like, I am looking to buy a home. So one thing about that is I have to narrow things down. I have to decide what kind of home. Do I want a townhouse? Do I want a condo? Do I want an actual house? How many bedrooms? Like, it gets complicated, right? But this lets me know that you've already this next transition that you're going in is narrowing that down. You're going to have a pretty good solid idea of all of that. You're going to say, I want a townhouse. I want 3 bedrooms. I want 2 bathrooms. Like, you're going to be so certain. You're going to be so sure of things. And because you're going to be so sure and so certain of things, you're going to manifest those things into reality. That dream's going to come true. You're going to be able to, that dream's going to be able to come true. You're going to be able to get what you want. And you're not going to have to worry about that. Okay? I just want to keep that in mind. Pal number 1. So blabbing on, but let's get to prayer before I keep, moving on about these cards. We don't want to spend all day. So prayer here, what it says, I'm not going to read it all, but essentially it's saying that you're never alone. The divine is always with you. To seek it, my love, all you need to do is to turn inward. Okay? And this is about focusing on what you want the most, and asking for guidance for when you need it. So keep that in mind. It's always like this. It's a spiritual message of being able to have support from a higher power, a higher spirit, or your own inner guidance and own inner certainty, which is kind of what I was talking about with this 7 of Cups. This next transition in your life, it's almost like you have a stronger emotional development, which makes sense. Like I was talking about here, how you kind of wanted to seek friends, maybe of higher emotional intelligence, because your own emotional intelligence is growing, especially with the 7 of Cups here. Because when we have emotional intelligence, a part of that is being someone who knows who they are, someone who knows their their emotional reactions to things, someone who knows what they desire, someone who knows what makes them happy, someone who knows who they are as a person. Okay, so I'm looking at like a ladybug right now, guys. Like, it just flew over my head. I had to like jump back a little bit. But whenever I see a ladybug, I always tell you guys that it's representing good fortune and good things that are coming your way. It is my sign from the universe that when I see that, especially when it comes up during a reading, and it really came out of nowhere, that because they don't come out in the nighttime for me. I don't even know how it's here. I usually, if I see them ever, it's in the daytime. So this is a little bit like, whoa, okay? So that lets me know that there's good fortune and good things coming your way in regarding to that. And all you have to do is look inward. Like, that is all you have to do. Check in with yourself. And you're going to be able to do that more frequently as time moves on, and with this new life transition that is coming your way. There's going to be a lot more certainty. Okay? That is something that I want to say. And lastly, because we have this more certainty, and because we have the 7 of Cups dealing with knowing yourself, this can also represent a spiritual evolution. This spiritual transformation is what I want to say, because that spiritual transformation does come with a little bit of struggle. And whenever I see that 5 of Wands here, to me, it can represent like an inner battle. It can represent a battle with someone else. But because we have the 7 of Cups here, that also represents looking inward. There is a part of this journey where this transformation is happening inside. And so this can represent you transforming spiritually. I do want to say that, okay? Another thing is, I kind of feel like this next transition, this next period of your life, there's going to be a lot more of a spotlight on you. Whatever this major transition is, it may be going from a place where you don't receive as much, you know, adoration or attention, or you have to like fight to get a word in or something, or to get some acknowledgement or get some respect. But with this 6 of Wands here, it lets me know that this major transition that's happening in your life can represent that you are being recognized for the work that you do, for the efforts that you put in. And it doesn't have to be a job. It could be within your home where, you know, maybe your spouse shows more appreciation towards you. Maybe your children shows more appreciation towards you. Maybe other family members or something along the lines of that. Maybe you're part of like your kid's school committee and they're just like, oh my gosh, you do so much for us. You do so much for us. We want to celebrate you. We want to celebrate everything that you do. And so, you know, they throw a little party, they have a little celebration, and it is amazing. Okay, I just want to say that. This can represent like meeting some sort of athletic goal, like, oh, I've decided to run a marathon and I've hit that major life transition when it comes to being able to do that. Like, I never thought I would be able to do that, okay? I never thought that I would ever be able to finish a marathon. You know, I've always been somebody who's more of a walker. I've always been sedentary. And that's something that changes you, that changes your outlook, that changes the way that you view things. And you start to view these things that you thought weren't realistic for you, that you're like, you know what, actually, I think I can make this my reality. I think I can be that magician-like card and formulate the reality that I want. I think it can manifest whatever it is that my heart desires and that my soul desires into real life, into my real world. Okay? That's something that can be a possibility for you. So keep that in mind, pal number 1. Now, let me see if there's anything else I'm like bringing in. All right. The last, you know, major life transition is, you know, this could possibly be similar to how I was saying before, where you didn't get a lot of recognition before. This could possibly be that even you yourself are becoming more open to a diversity of thoughts or opinions. And you're able to balance what it is that you are wanting to say without feeling like you have to be on the defense or prove your point of view or perspective. You know, you could step into this environment. Maybe you change work environments, maybe you change friend environments, maybe you change some sort of environment that you're in, where now you're in a place where people are respecting each other's thoughts, where people are more understanding and receptive to other people's world views. And maybe you've just like never got the opportunity to be in that environment before. And that can be a huge change, a huge shift. But whatever it is, there's going to be this new level of responsibility, new level of recognition, new level of being seen. And for some of you, promotion, leadership, if I didn't say that, which I think I kind of implied about, I'm just going to outright say it, promotion, leadership. I think I did say it. I think I said like manager to supervisor. I'm just trying to make sure I'm covering everything to prepare you for this major transition that is coming your way. So that's something that's it. And then in relation to school, this could be receiving scholarships. If you have been out of work, because I've gotten the Five of Wands to represent, oh, this is competition. This is competition. I've been fighting the competition. And then the Six of Wands is like, I got the job. I've got the job. For sure, I've gotten the Six of Wands so many times to represent, I've got the job for people in general. And I don't think I did anything romantic, but these cards are less romantic and more so oriented towards goals, achievements, friendships, connections, media, personal growth, and spiritual growth, as well as, you know, possibly, as I mentioned before, a moving of type of a change in environment, whether that's literally moving or be changing jobs, or people around you are kind of switching up, you know. You may notice a little switch up with the people around you. Like I said, maybe they go from toxic to more celebratory. Okay, keep on the lookout. Keep on the lookout. But that is what I have for you, pal number one. This is the major transition coming your way. Keep that in mind. Hopefully this resonates. If it doesn't resonate with you, feel free to choose another pal, or maybe I'm not the reader for you. Either way, I'm happy you stopped by. But let me know in the comments, and au revoir. Hey pal, number two, let's get started on your reading. The major life transition that is coming your way. We have the Four of Pentacles, the Wheel of Fortune, the Page of Pentacles, the Seven of Cups, and resourcefulness. It's in cursive, guys. That's what the pause is for. I'm like, what is this thing saying? But before we get into these cards and all of that energy coming from there, let us roll these Astrodites. I'm super excited. I've always wanted these Astrodites, and I finally got some myself. So let's see. I wouldn't be Astro-Tarot research if I didn't have the Astro, right? So we have Mars, we have the 12th house, and we have Taurus. Mars in the 12th house in Taurus. Somebody's not getting much sleep, are they? Not with Mars in the 12th house we are. So when it comes to major life transitions, what this is letting me know is that this major life transition that is coming your way, that you're about to be thrusted into, that is about to come into your space, your arena, your energy, is a period of life that's going to be very, very busy. Mars in the 12th house in Taurus. There isn't much rest when Mars comes into the 12th house. Mars is an active planet. Mars is a planet of research and effort and energy. And when it's in that 12th house, the house of, you know, let me go close my eyes and go to sleep, this represents having a very active mind in which you are not able to sleep. It's giving you restlessness. It's giving insomnia. So not to say that that's going to be this major life transition coming your way, but it's letting me know that the energy of this major life transition is going to have to do with being more proactive, having more things to do, having more responsibilities, or even just things that you enjoy. Doesn't necessarily have to be a responsibility, but it's going to be something that you have to pour your time and your energy into. And so it's going to reach into or cut into your sleep area of life. Additionally, when we talk about the 12th house, we talk about the house of self-undoing, meaning the things that we do to ourselves that kind of just shoot ourselves in the foot, you know, like self-sabotaging behavior. And when Mars comes here, depending on how long its transit is, like when it does one of its longer transits where it's like, I'm going in this sign, then I'm retrograding, and then I'm coming back, then it can make some really great changes. But Mars generally, when it comes to the 12th house, it kind of gives like a little bit of a period of reflection. just like a small period of reflection where you have to sort of think about the things that you are doing or how you're reacting in your own life that may be causing you yourself to not get the results that you want. Okay? Now, when Mars is here, Mars can represent a lot of energy of having to deal with trauma. Mars is the lesser malefic, with Saturn being the greater malefic. And the lesser malefic is still just as traumatizing, I'll tell you that. But it's still tough. But it really deals with like addressing any sort of issues when it comes to like humiliation, or when it comes to issues with people in authority, issues, maybe trauma surrounding like poverty or a lack mindset, or feeling like you never quite had your social standing, meaning like, oh my gosh, I was never popular in high school, or something along the lines of that, or it's very difficult for me to make friends, or I've had a lot of negative reactions or interactions with people in my upbringing or even in my adulthood that has affected the way that I communicate with others. That's what's coming in for you with this major transition in your life. It's about addressing those fears, those complicated moments, those traumas that may be holding you back. It's about being able to take a chance and recognize that, you know, the past is not the present. And, you know, and even if it is, with this Mars in the 12th house energy, especially when we have in Taurus, which is like this sign of having to do with stability, family, money, and utilizing your voice, meaning the ability to speak up and express yourself. This can have to deal with you possibly having a lot of different challenges when it comes to opening up yourself to others and saying what you truly think or how you truly feel or something along the lines of that. And so this next transition, life transition that's coming in for you, is going to have to deal with putting those private thoughts out there. I know it's scary, but that's what's coming for you, pal, number 2. This major life transition really is a strong shift when it comes to personal development, because the 12th house is really strongly connected to that personal development. This can represent basically taking more risk and chances, meaning like, okay, I'm going to become more financially independent. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to learn a new skill. I'm going to overcome this personal challenge, because it's a personal sort of house. It's a psychological house. Now, this does not mean that this house doesn't deal with money. Usually 12th house transits do deal with money, because the 12th house is kind of like the house of like charities or like losses of wealth. It's like I'm giving away my money, because the 12th house is a very spiritual house. It's a house where it's about letting go of material things and disconnecting from the material world. So a Mars transit to the 12th house, especially in Taurus, can have to do with having your funds depleted in a way, which self-sabotaging behavior usually around this is going to deal with a shopping addiction or impulse buying or spending a lot of money on things you may not particularly need, or even quite the opposite, where you can have this sort of mindset where like, I really need to hoard money and I don't want to be so giving. I don't want to give so much away, and I can be a little bit tight when it comes to finances. I can be very, very, very frugal, which kind of goes into this 4 of Pentacles energy. Okay, pal. Number 2, this is an energy where it's like, I need to hold on to this so bad that it can be causing me not to like, what's the word? Live in a more comfortable lifestyle, or even experience different aspects of life or different parts of the world. Like, I knew someone who had they didn't have Mars in the 12th house, but they had some 12th house planets, and they were in Taurus. And something that I noticed about them is like, yes, they do kind of like save their money, but they saved it so much because they would never leave the house. Like, and so that's something that I have seen with this placement. That's more of an extreme circumstances, but things like that happen. So this next transitionary period in your life is going to be asking you to take more risk and take more chances and go out there and interact with the world and interact with life and try new experiences. And that's really what's coming for you, pile number 2. Now let's jump into these cards, because we've already talked about, you know, kind of investing in the personal development and personal improvement and being able to overcome the fears, psychological fears that you may be having. And you know what? A lot of these piles are turning into some kind of like therapy session. I don't know what's going on here. Normally Spirit likes to be a little bit more practical and everyday with me and just kind of like flow through me in that way. But I guess they want some, you know, psychological messages going on here. Okay, I'm more fluent in spiritual development at the moment. So that is the language we'll be speaking for this reading. But anyway, what we have here when it comes to this next life transition is more than likely, as I mentioned before, you're going to be utilizing your voice more. There's going to be some major changes when it comes to putting yourself out there. The Four of Pentacles is so tightly wound. And you can see on the After Tarot deck, you have the Four of Pentacles. This person is so scared. They're holding on to their money. They're holding on to their money. They're so scared to take a chance. They're so scared to lose what they have. And then you have the Death card, like the Grim Reaper right behind them, just ready to send them over to the other side, which is obviously symbolic of take a risk. Life is short. So this next transitionary period in your life is about taking risk and, you know, not missing out on potential opportunities. And the Wheel of Fortune is all about opportunities, all about changing things, all about circumstances evolving and going in different directions and having momentum and the ebb and flow of life, okay? Which can be unpredictable and wild and up and down, and just you're thrown into the mix. So you're about to be thrown into the mix. You're about to experience some changes, and these changes are going to require you to express yourself. Not only are you expressing yourself and your thoughts and possibly creativity or just, you know, vulnerabilities, or even things along the lines of just showcasing your talents to the world, which can be possible with this combination, or starting a new hobby. This is something that's likely to be happening for you. Like, oh my gosh, I was so scared to post my videos on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram because I was scared what people would think. Now this is you posting them. This is you posting that. I was so scared to write this book and publish it because I was scared that people would take my ideas and etc. Or no one would read it and they would think it's like dumb, or they would think I'm dumb. And then you publish it and it turns out amazing and people are supportive. And even if they're not, you have the courage to put yourself out there. And that's going to be part of this new major life transition that is coming your way. This is also having to do with making some changes within your lifestyle. Meaning when we have this Four of Pentacles, it's kind of like things have been the same for so long, or even just like your day-to-day has been the same for so long. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune come sweeping in, and followed by the Page of Pentacles, which is always bringing something new, always something, maybe not unexpected, but always something new, always something innovative, always something different. Unless it's reversed, and it's not reversed, which can deal with adopting like a new lifestyle, a new healthier lifestyle. Like, oh my gosh, I've been eating, you know, a lot of, let's say, I've been eating a lot of Uber Eats or DoorDash, etc. for so long. Now I'm making some changes. I'm looking at my financial plan. I'm looking at, you know, maybe weight gain or how I feel, and it doesn't feel right to me anymore. And now with this Page of Pentacles, we're making some changes. And it feels like you have so many doors that you can go through when it comes to these changes. I know I use food a lot, for example, because I'm a foodie here. But it doesn't have to be food. It could be anything within your daily life that is changing, possibly just your routine. Maybe you go to work, you come home, you watch TV, and then you go to sleep. You know, it's like, you're like, I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to maybe go out in the middle of the week once a week. I want to pick up gymnastics. I want to start ballet as an adult. I want to learn how to drive. I've always lived in the city and now I'm learning how to drive. I want to decide to be someone's mentor. I want to volunteer. Like, this is like you deciding this major life transition is about you breaking up your routine and trying something different. I know I was going to say different, but different. You're trying something different. Okay? And it's going to be a little scary at first, right? With this Four of Pentacles here, but something's going to come along that makes you feel like a pressure to change. This is not an easy transition because we have this weight of the death card, the Grim Reaper, in the background of this Four of Pentacles. And then obviously with the Wheel of Fortune, the Wheel of Fortune just comes like this whirlwind comes sweeping in where you're just like, my goodness, this just hit me like a ton of bricks, right? So it's not always an easy transition what's coming up here, but this transition is 100% needed, okay? I do want to say that. We can have, sorry, not we can have, what we have here when it comes to you, being here and making this major life transition, is that you're going to start to feel like the world is opening up to you and that you have more possibilities than you've ever thought possible. You get out of this place where you feel so limited and so confined to maybe this small box routine. Like, okay, I can either, go to work and work a 9 to 5 until I die, or I can start a business and that's the avenue I can take, or I can invest and or I can hit the lottery, and then those are my 4 choices, right? To sustain myself for the rest of my life. And you're like, no, it seems like I can take maybe a different avenue that might be for me. You start to think a little bit more creatively about how you can choose to live your life. Maybe you're like, I don't really like any of those choices. I'm going to go live in a forest somewhere. Like, whatever the case may be. I don't like any of those choices. I'm going to go, I don't know, marry a rich pop star. I mean, that's kind of like a wild example, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like deciding that you have more choices than you ever thought you could. I mean, look at the 7 of Cups on this card here. This is the Before Tarot deck. I don't know if it's going to focus or anything like that, but we can see it. On the Before Tarot deck, you have this person closing their eyes, and before they can see all these options in front of them, they imagine them. They open up their mind to those opportunities, and they allow themselves to dream of something bigger and better than what they currently have in front of them. Even if they cannot see it, even if it has not been exemplified for them, even if they don't know anyone who has ever done the things that they have tried to achieve, they are imagining this life for themselves. And they are focusing on the things that they desire. And they are not allowing anyone else to dictate their ability to achieve the things that they desire. They're simply pushing themselves to dream and to manifest those things within their lives. So this new period really is about opening up your mind. There's a lot of focus when it comes to financial opportunities and work opportunities here. So to me, it makes me think that there's possibly a change within a new job, or possibly even picking up some new skill that can lead to more financial opportunities. Whether that's like, okay, I am an MUA now, and now people are asking me to do their makeup for their weddings and their birthday parties and etc. Things like that. That's a skill. Or people are asking me to do their hair and or make their dresses because I've learned how to sew, and people just need help with that. But whatever the case may be, there's a lot of focus when it comes to a shift in career and work opportunities. And I just want to get to this because there's this tap on my shoulder that is telling me to read this card right now. Okay, resourcefulness says, everything you need is already within you. Oh my gosh. Pile number 4, did I not just say that? And trust me, I don't have these cards memorized. I don't like look at stuff before. I just dole them out and then turn on the camera and start reading the cards. Like, I don't look at them. I keep them face down. But I love that. I love that it's kind of just highlighting again what I just said. How everything you need is within you. Like, it's the 7 of Cups energy where you are focusing on manifesting the things of you dream and that you can dream in front of you. Okay? It's all about being able to take a risk and take chances and believing in yourself. Oh my God, I just read the second line. Don't doubt it, my love. You are more capable, more equipped, more looked after than you ever imagined. Was that not what I was just saying, pile number 2? That this is meant for you. Like, these things that you feel or have felt, or maybe like you're sort of questioning now, that you felt like, oh, I don't know if I can achieve that. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if this is just delusion. It's not delusion. It's something you can do. It's something you can achieve. It's something within the palm of your hand. You have this. There is no such thing as failure. You can only grow. You can only redirect. So forget about failure. Pile number 2, what are you scared of? Like, don't be afraid that things aren't going to work out. Don't be afraid that things aren't going to go the way you want, or there's so many changes that are going to be happening that go lead you in this pitfall of, misery and sadness or rejection and things along the lines of that. This can represent like, okay, I've decided to invest in some, life insurance, or I've decided to buy some bonds for the bank, and I'm a little bit scared that the economy might crash and I might lose some money and then I'll have nothing. And it's like, no. The likelihood is you're likely going to more so gain money, especially if you do so in the long run and invest in the long run, in the long term. There is a huge chance, a massive huge chance that things are more than likely going to be successful. And then if you set the proper boundaries so that, if you encounter any losses, it doesn't shake you up too much, then this can potentially be something that is revolutionary for you. Now, I'm using just the example of money because it's the easiest one here, and it's something that we all care about. Obviously, we need to sustain ourselves in this lifetime. But yes, this is what it is. It's like taking that chance. It's kind of like how I think they say, I don't know if it's like 21%. It's like a very small percentage of Americans that actually invest within like the stock market. Not to like push the stock market on you. If you don't invest, don't invest. But a lot of people don't invest because they're ignorant of it, or they are fearful, or something along the lines of that. There's just a lot of risk involved too. However, those who do invest are generally better financially off, and usually have more money at retirement, usually have more money to invest in things that they want in their life, start businesses, grow money. They just have more. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. People who take risk usually have more. That's just the way it goes, pal number 2. So this next life transition in your life is going to be involving taking risk, taking on more pressure, but at the same time, there's more opportunity for things to work out. Even if you go through some failures, it doesn't matter. You're going to rebuild it and you're going to have more success. What I see happening is possibly something along the lines of, I don't know, this is all about kind of like taking on more. So this would be like, I am getting a new apartment. I'm becoming a landlord. I am trying to think, setting up a trust, or I am, like I said, setting up a Roth IRA, 401k. I'm going to start saving for my kids' college. And, it's tough right now to budget in, but maybe I can do $20 a month. I can do $100 a month. I can do $500 a month, whatever the case may be. Like, you try to control your funds or something in your life that may involve some risk, and you end up taking that chance and you say, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to see what happens. That's what's going to happen. This is like, okay, I've got a job opportunity in New Mexico, but I live in Illinois. Do I want to take the opportunity? Yeah, I'm going to take the opportunity. I'm going to take the opportunity. This is something along the lines of, you know what? I'm going to rent out my home. I've got a home. Like I said, I'm going to become a landlord. I'm going to, invest in property. I'm going to rent out my home. This is like, hey, I've decided to do something about my cholesterol. I've decided to do something about this ache that I've had in my foot for so long, and it just bothers me, and maybe I should go to the doctor for it. Oh my gosh, my back hurts and it's hurt for so long, but I'm scared if I go to the doctor, they're going to say something that I don't want to hear and have to deal with. And this is like, no, I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm going to see what they have to say, and I'm going to do something about it, and I'm not going to make that define me as a person, whatever they say. Okay? So all of these things can be happening for you, pile number 2. I have to list so many things because I know that this can represent a lot, and it's a general reading, so I'm trying to get everyone a feel for the things that could be possibly happening in their life. But this really does become about opening up your mind to the possibilities, finally letting that imagination be active, going through a period in your life where there's going to be a lot of different changes, where you're taking a lot of different risks, and then you're having these new opportunities coming to you, being thrust at you in some sort of way, making some changes, like I mentioned before, in your health, diet, fitness, whatever the case may be, making some mental health improvements. I've got to talk about the mental and the physical health because those are the things that this is concentrating on. Expressing yourself, making investments. I'm trying to think of everything the 12th house represents. Dreaming, planning your life, focusing on believe, achieve. Like, that's the main thing. That is really, really what's happening here. So you're going to come out on the other side with a more positive state of mind, more open. And the last thing I want to mention is a little bit of opportunity for travel. Like, really, Mars in the 12th house, the travel is kind of more extreme, because when I've seen people who go through Mars in the 12th house, this is like, I'm going to climb a mountain, or I'm going to go through the forest, or I'm going to go in a jungle. It's like, or I'm going to go on a safari. Like, it's a little bit more like nature oriented when it comes to travel. Less luxury. This is like, hey, I'm going to go into a gorilla's habitat. And it's like, yeah, it's a little dangerous, but like, it's also extremely cool and exciting. But so I just want to keep that in mind when we talk about like Mars in the 12th house. And I'm just kind of giving my observations and research when it comes to Mars in the 12th house. And if it's not that sort of circumstances, it's a more so like an isolation thing, where it's like, okay, I'm going to go on some meditative retreats every now and then. Granted, these cards are asking you to more so put yourself out there a little bit, but I'm guessing it's going to be more of a balance of, okay, I'm going to need some time to retreat, but I'm also going to take slowly, get myself out there and everything along the lines of that. But this is more so like taking time to reflect, taking time to meditate and grow and understand your voice and utilize that. I want to say that. And this can also represent taking a new spiritual path. So I do want to say that, a new spiritual path, like a new religion. And as I already mentioned, the travel and sort of experiencing new cultures. That may be for maybe 30% of you. I only say that because, we have Mars in the 12th house in Taurus, which is like a very strong indicator of travel. But the rest of the cards aren't particularly focused so much on travel. Maybe the Page of Pentacles. But other than that, that's the main thing. So that's probably like a 30% of you. If the focus was on this traveling, then we'd have different cards. I want to say that. Just want to throw that out there. This can also be a shift. There we go. A shift in your belief systems. Yeah, I do want to say that because Taurus can align to belief systems and how you view things. Generally, Taurus 12th house can be a more of a spiritual type of placement. So you've come to the right place if you have that type of energy in your heart. Not heart. Oh, yeah, heart. Yeah, that's not what I was trying to say, but yeah, but that actually fits. And then the last thing I've seen with this is taking like kind of like a gap year or a sabbatical or a period of retreat. But like I said, I don't think that's the main course of action. I think it's more like there'll be periods of retreat, or maybe even a long period, or maybe like you're just like, this is the first time I've taken a 3-week vacation. So you had like one period of like a vacation. But generally when people have planets in the 12th house, at some point in their life, they're going to be like maybe unemployed for a long period. They're either going to be taking some sort of meditative retreat, or they're going to go to like, you know, like I said, the jungles, the mountains, or something, or volcano, like some kind of thing like that. So those are things that could possibly happening. I want to throw those events out there as well, if that resonates with you. And the last thing I want to briefly mention is this can deal with letting go of baggage, especially when it comes to familial relationships, and deciding to move towards a place that is a little bit more emotionally satisfying and, you know, feels good to you, just feels great, you know. You feel a little bit more grounded and you feel a little bit more open to new opportunities. And this can also involve like this transition, this major life transition that's coming your way. Can represent, like, for some of you, if you're going through some sort of financial difficulties, is that you are figuring out a way to pay off debts, pay off credit card balances, figuring out your options, figuring out your choices. That's something that is a strong possibility going on here, where you're taking action in those areas and making a plan that can affect you long term. And you're realizing just how many options you have out there for you. I do want to say that. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Well, I think I covered all the bases of everything that is to be represented. I mean, other than like, I think I did cover moving. Granted, I don't want to say like this is for everyone. This is moving is like this moving thing, this traveling thing, I think is like 30% of you guys. There's just not enough support for it in the cards. So that's the only reason I say that. But there's enough support if you look at the Astro Dice. And if I look at the Page of Pentacles here, because this could be like, hey, I'm studying abroad. You know, this is like very much study abroad energy. Like I went someplace for like 5 months, a year, and I came back. And that has transformed me and changed who I am and has allowed me to grow, or given me educational opportunities I never thought was possible. So that is what I have for you, pile number 2. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal number 3. Let's get into the major life transitions coming your way. Let's see what these cards have to say. We have the 6 of Pentacles. Oop, sticking together. We have the Temperance card. I believe that's Temperance. I think that might actually be the Empress. Okay, that is the Empress. Sorry. We have the Empress. We have the 7 of Wands. We have the 2 of Cups. And we have Indulgence. Indulgence. So before we get into these cards, I do want to roll these Astro Dice. I finally got my hands on these dice, which I'm super excited to use. Let's just toss them. They've been flying everywhere. I gotta be gentle with them. All right, we have Venus. We have the 1st house. And we have Cancer. Wow, okay. We got into that. We got this. So I love that we got Venus and we have this 2 of Cups energy as well. But let's start off with the general representation of Venus in the 1st house. So generally Venus in the 1st house, you know, if we're being very general, then this can represent like creativity, coming in within your life, boosting activities that have to do with relaxation, laying back. I know Venus usually comes into my first house, everyone's first house, at least once a year. And during that time of the year, in terms of a transit, we'll get into natal placements in a second. In terms of a transit, what it does is it brings a little bit more relaxation. Like I have more downtime, I have more me time, I can sit and just be at peace, because that is what Venus loves. Venus loves that creativity, Venus loves that luxury. Venus is connected to the ability to just enjoy the pleasures of life and immerse yourself in the material world. And so that's the things that may be coming into your life, these major transitions where you feel like, wow, I finally have more peace coming my way. Excuse me. I finally am able to experience something that is completely and totally enjoyable and blissful for me. I'm able to maybe go from a full-time job to a part-time job. That'll, free up your schedule. I'm able to, if you have kids, send them off to college. And so now I no longer have to be so involved in that area, and I can have more me time for myself. Even going through a divorce could, free up some sort of time for yourself. But whatever the case may be, this could be something like, oh my gosh, I got promoted. That means I got like an extra week of vacation a year, and now I can bring myself that more time. And that extra time is going to be major for you. It truly is. So we want to, talk about how wonderful and peaceful and just how much more balance you're able to bring within your life. That's a huge, major transition that is coming your way. More balance, more free time, more relaxation, especially at home, because we do have this Cancer type of energy here. And it's interesting because I have met people with not plenty, but enough that with Venus in the first house. Particularly, I remember one person. Yeah, I dated one person. I was in a relationship with one person with Venus and Cancer in the first house. And obviously, very similar to what you would expect with Venus and Cancer in the first house. There's a creative side to this individual, and they felt the need to express themselves in that manner. And I think that just ties into what I was saying before, how when Venus comes to the first house, it brings more of that free time, that time to express yourself and immerse yourself in all the things that are material, which connects to creativity. So this major transition, this major life transition that is coming your way, has to do with either immersing yourself in the art world, immersing yourself in your own creative juices, and feeling like you have a more avenue to express yourself, taking more control of your life. And I just realized we have the Empress here again. I don't know why I didn't make that connection. I kind of want to move to these cards so fast, but but yes, being able to express yourself, being able to enjoy all of the beauty that there is to life. And then not only that, but when we have this combination with this first house, this which represents your body, Venus represents beauty, Cancer is more so about comforting, and it's a lot of self-reflection when it comes to that. Two things are happening off the bat, two major things. Obviously, this can be a lot of interpretations. Number one, this represents a beautification of self. Number two, this represents a rise in self-awareness. Now, this may not be the highest rise in self-awareness. It's not Mercury, which is a little bit the most self-aware planet, but Venus is an intelligent planet. Venus is a planet that represents teachings, learning. You see a lot of Venusian people will tend to be said to be more mature beyond their years. That's a common comment I've seen from studying Venusian people, because the wisdom and intelligence is there. So what you're having with this major life transition could possibly be a rise in your intelligence, which can represent, oh, I'm going back to school. Oh, I'm picking up a new hobby or a new skill, which all of those things can definitely create a rise in your intelligence. Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, I finally understand color theory. I finally understand how to decorate. I have a better understanding of spatial what do you call that? It's like spatial intelligence, when you're able to accurately understand like how objects fit within a space, or if you turn things a certain way, how it would look. Like some people aren't able to visualize those things in their mind, but other people, like I guess me, I can visualize things in my mind like that due to my dyslexia, and it helps you visualize things physically in your mind, whatever. But maybe you'll start to grow within that area of intelligence. All of these things can be taught for the most part. So things along the lines of that. This can also represent, like I said, because we have this growth of emotional intelligence, something along the lines of starting therapy. Something along the lines of, if it's not a mental level up, a physical level up for sure. Which can have to do with, oh my gosh, I'm deciding to create a workout plan. I'm deciding I want to get abs. I'm deciding I want to build muscle. I want to join a gym. This major life transition is like, I'm changing my habits. I'm creating a new fitness routine. I'm deciding to take care of things in that way. Another thing this can have to do with is if you have some kind of ongoing ailments, which I've seen a lot with Venusian people, where they may have these like diseases or ailments or things along the lines of that. Not really sure why, but this would be saying something along the lines of, I'm doing something to take care of myself. I'm doing something to create more balance in this area of my life. I am trying to make myself better by going through this thing and that thing, etc. Like, I'm trying to manage my chronic pain. Like, this major transition dealing with health can be a part of this story that you're about to fall into, or that you're about to move into, because this is more so you taking the control with this first house energy. This can even be something along the lines of like transferring into a plant-based diet, or creating a diet that you feel is, what is those the documentary about the countries so that live 100 years. Are they called like blue states, blue countries? I have to look that up. Like, but you know that documentary on Netflix where it was about these countries that lived to be 100 blue zones. I think that's what it's called. So this would be saying, okay, I'm going to decide to follow a blue zone diet, or something along the lines of that. If you're someone, you know what, let me not jump to that. Let me focus on the areas of self-image first, because that's coming up so strongly. This is about changing your self-image. This is about evolving and transforming. If we take this from like a Venus in the first house perspective, this can, honestly, Venus in the first house makes people attractive. Like, for the most part, if they're not attractive, then they're creative, or they're kind of like a little bit more aggressive. That can be something too, as well, with that Venus energy. But generally, I've seen people to be more so, I'm going to have a more balanced diet. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to ensure that I live a long time. I like to take care of my body. I like to remain in shape. Like, that's the behavior that I've seen from this placement. But obviously it can be different for other people. Venus in the first house can represent plastic surgery. So if that's something you are wanting to invest in, plastic surgery, Botox, any sort of lift, tuck, etc., that is what this is investing in with this major life transitioning. And that is going to go well for you. That's going to go well for you. Maybe you finally get the courage and you say, actually, I really don't like my jawline. I really want to go and get that change. I really want that liposuction, or I really want to take Ozempic or something along the lines of that. I've always struggled with my weight loss. Now Ozempic has helped me find a balance. So these are the things that may be coming up for you in your life, where you're finally making this big transition when it comes to your appearance. So I just want to say that, like, this is a beautification of self, especially since we have the Empress here. And then we also have the Two of Cups. I wanted to go back and I wanted to talk about how the Empress can connect to fertility, and how Venus in the first house, especially in Cancer, can connect to fertility as well. So generally this placement will want to have a desire to have children from what I've seen. And it's not the biggest indicator for desires to have children. There's a little bit more. I think I showed my having a lot of children study. I think that is on this channel. I'll link it. I'll put it in here. Do that little icon thing with the little eye. It'll pop up on the screen where I'm talking right now. So you can click on that study. But this can bring a desire for fertility. Maybe you say, I kind of want to be a mom. I'm looking into taking fertility treatments, or I'm looking for, you know, a man in finance. Trust fund. Sorry guys, I've got that TikTok thing in my head. Looking for a man in finance, trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes, to have children with, or something along the lines of that. But, or if you're a man, you're saying, hey, I want to find, it could be a partner, it could be another man to adopt and have children with, or a surrogate, or maybe even a wife to have children with, or a woman. It doesn't matter. People do things all sorts of ways when it comes to adopting and having children and becoming parents. Like, there's a different journey for everyone to become a parent. And with this placement, I kind of see that this is part of your journey. Like, for some of you, I'm not saying all of you, I'm going to say 30%, this next major life transition has to do with parenthood, has to do with fertility, has to do with having children, has to do with pregnancy, has to do with ensuring that you are bringing life into this world. If you're not thinking along the lines of creativity and expression, then this is having to deal with, let me actually create another human being, and do so in a way that just makes me feel happy and fulfilled. This is like fulfilling your desires and your happiness, and fighting for what it is that you want, especially with the 7 of Wands here, to ensure that you get this thing. Now, I do want to say, technically, this 2 of Cups is reversed because it's following the 7 of Wands. And honestly, when I see the 2 of Cups reversed, I mean, it means a lot of things, but in this particular reading, I think it represents not listening to those around you who may have a different vision for your life. For example, maybe you really want a child, but you can't find a partner. And so you decide to adopt without a partner. And people are saying that's very difficult. I don't know why you would want to do that to yourself. That's really hard on you. You might want to reconsider everything that comes with that. And you're saying, no, I'm determined. This is what I want. This is what I desire. And I think the last thing I want to indulge in when it comes to this Venus first house Cancer energy, especially as I was going into early when it comes to the 2 of Cups and this Empress, this can represent having a strong desire for connection. This next major life transition in your life is maybe you addressing some issues with loneliness that you may have had, or I wouldn't say issues with loneliness because it makes it sound like being lonely is terrible. It's a good thing. It's a signal that you're looking for connection and you want connection. So this next transition in your life represents you deciding to want to form a bond or want to form a pair and put an end to any sort of turbulent interactions that you have. And you're saying, hey, I'm tired of dating these type of people, or I'm tired of not getting my needs met. Jeez. Tired of not getting my needs met. And I want to form a connection. I want love. I want stability. I want a family. I want a partner, something along the lines of that. So this next transition in your life can have to do with trying to gain relationships, ensuring that you, get married for some of you, or find a partner, or even saying, hey, I want to get to a place where I get engaged, I'm getting married. And that can actually be coming up for some of you, because when I see these cards together, it's almost like you're saying, I'm not tolerating anything that's non-committal. I want something that's lasting. I want something that's forever. I'm letting go of relationships that we aren't aligned in, that we aren't connected with, that we don't seem to be compatible with. I think that's a lot to do with this story. So some of you can be entering some new romantic relationships, but these relationships are going to be a lot different, obviously, than they were in the past, because this is these major life transitions coming in your way. It can't be a major life transition if you're doing the same thing, right? So this is a new, fresh energy and perspective. I'm not going to say that all of you are going to get engaged and going to get married, but you're definitely going to be formulating connections like you have never seen before, especially since this Two of Cups is reversed. Now, I want to look at this indulgence card before I loop back around to everything that we have revealed, and let's read from it. I can't do this. I shouldn't do that. I really need to start. What if we did away with the lack and started living more fully, breathing more deeply, laughing more loudly, and crying more deeply? Eating more heartily. What if the only thing we placed a limit on was how much we place limits on ourselves? The world is a juicy place, ripe and waiting for you to sink your teeth in. So this is all about living in the moment and fulfilling in your life and accepting things into your life that bring you enjoyment and fulfillment, which is kind of what I was saying earlier in the reading with that Venus kind of feel, and how I was saying when it transits this house, this is how I feel. And when I've seen other people with this placement, this is how I've seen them act, and things along the lines of getting into this place where you indulge. And that's not only just in the things that you find pleasurable, but also within personal relationships. Like I said, this is about entering romantic relationships that may not fit the mold or may not fit the narrative that other people are expecting from you or other people are desiring for you, but it's fulfilling for you. It makes sense to you. It's good for you. You feel loved within this relationship, and that's all that matters. And this is you saying, hey, I'm going to completely just dive into it. I'm going to go for it. I'm no longer going to question it constantly. I'm just going to, we're going to be two awkward turtles together. Or, even vice versa, where maybe this, for some of you, is about self-love. Because the Two of Cups reversed can say, I don't really need a relationship. I don't need a man. I don't need a woman. All I need is the love that I have for myself. So you have the 50% of you that are looking to make deeper connections that make sense, and ignoring like all the fluff and noise in the backgrounds of other people and get them inserting their opinions into your relationships and your desires. And then you have the other 50% of you, which are focusing more so when it comes to how can I bring more love and fulfillment into my life without looking for other people to sort of fill in that void. Like, I don't want to keep searching for someone if you're single. I don't want to keep leaning on my partner to bring me fulfillment and joy all the time. I want to be able to indulge in the things that I find enjoyable in my hobbies. I want to be able to continue to bake cakes and sweets and have more time for that. I want to be able to make little figurines and craft those things. I want to be able to write and bring enjoyment into my life in that way. I want to indulge myself in all of my interests and all of the things that I find interesting and all the things that I love. And I want to be able to be confident and supportive within myself. So for some of you, this is about entering a new relationship with yourself. This is about self-love, Venus in the first house. It's a story of self-love. It really is. And what I've noticed about when I see Venus and the people in the first house, I'm not going to say this major life transition is easy. Okay. What I've seen is people who have Venus in the first house really struggle with self-love. Like, they struggle the most out of anyone. Like, think about Angelina Jolie, who hired a hitman to off her, right? And she has like Venus conjunct her ascendant. I think it might actually be in the 12th house, but it's like conjunct her ascendant. So it definitely has an effect on her first house, right? And it's like, you see these stories of Venus, of a few Venus people having a lot of struggles when it comes to self-image and self-love. Like, look at Zac Efron and how his whole face is transformed, and someone must have said something to him along the way that made him feel like he needed to do that to himself. So I just want to put that out there, that this major life transition, though it is positive, and though you are moving to a place that you can fully love and accept yourself and cherish yourself and not look for external validation from other people, it's going to be a tough story, this major transition. It's going to be a tale of trying to really fight, maybe not even just others, but yourself, especially with the Seven of Wands here. Sometimes, like this card says, we get into this place where it says, I can't do it. I shouldn't do that. I really need to start. Like, it's this very self-critical place that this card is talking about, and the Seven of Wands is talking about, and the stories that I've seen from Venus, people having Venus in the first house, where there's this constant like criticism and expecting perfection out of yourself and always being hard on yourself, and wanting to be like this image that's not even real of a person that doesn't exist, but you're trying to live up to some image in your mind of what do you think you should be like. And really, it's just not possible. And all you're doing is bringing more sadness and unfulfillment into your life, because you're constantly disappointing yourself. You're constantly not living up to your own expectations, or you're constantly saying, you know, these harsh things towards yourself. And yes, I have seen, I don't know how to emphasize this enough. I have seen these Venus in the first house placements like really get upset with themselves. Like, they can make a cup of coffee wrong and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so dumb. I can't believe I forgot to pour the coffee out and now it's overflowing. And what did I do that for? Oh my God, I'm so dumb. It's like, okay, that's a normal human mistake. Like, so pile number 3, I hope you're not being harsh on yourself. I hope that everything I'm saying now doesn't apply to you and you're saying, sorry, doesn't resonate. Because you don't need to feel that way about yourself. This major life transition is coming your way, and it's going to address if you have these type of thoughts, if you have a lot of these, what do you call it, cognitive distortions about yourself or reality in general. It's time to end that. We're letting that go. We're letting that go with this major life transition coming your way. One thing I want to say here, because the focus does seem to be a lot on self-love, is this Six of Pentacles shows me that this can possibly connect with you caring for yourself. I mean, you're still caring for others because it's upright and is followed by the Empress. But I think it's time that you're starting to bring that caring energy towards yourself as well. I just want to throw that out there. And for some of you, this is really small, but with the Six of Pentacles and the Empress, this can represent like caring for, you know, your mom, an elderly person like your grandma, or, you know, some figure who may be maternal in a sense, or even just represent the qualities of an Empress, which is like nurturing, caring, giving, artistic. So if you have like a grandpa who's like, I'm a painter, you know, like he could be symbolized by the Empress, you know what I mean? But this is like, I'm taking care of a loved one. It doesn't have to be a parent. I guess I automatically thought like aging parents, but like I said before, with this Venus and Empress energy, this could say, hey, I'm taking care of a kid now. Like I've got pregnant, I had a kid, and I'm taking care of one. I adopted a kid, you know, etc. Something along the lines of that. That's something to be noted. Another major life transition, which could be a little bit more indirect, but following the same line of thinking, is this is like, I'm becoming an aunt, I'm becoming an uncle. So I'm taking care of, in a way, a family member. Not necessarily someone I gave birth to, but someone who is coming into my life and who is hopefully bringing joy and happiness and fulfillment, and that you feel, you know, connected to and love for, and that you want to nurture and you want to take care of in a way. So that's something that, and then I guess godparent too. I'll say godparent. I'll throw godparent out there. I don't know why I always forget about godparents, but I'm like, yeah, obviously people have godparents. Um, these are some things that could be happening for you, these major life transitions. Trying to think of anything else. Really, this is about, this could represent healing from toxic relationships, healing from toxic dating interactions, healing from your own, like I said, cognitive distortions and things along the lines of that. I do see this placement. There's a strong focus about like self-love, relationships, money too. Money's the thing that's happening. If you are someone who is struggling to make money, or if you have never had stability, then this major life transition that's coming your way has to do with bring about financial stability, since we got the Empress, the Six of Pentacles, and Venus. Like, my goodness. And we got indulged. How can you indulge when you don't really have any money to indulge, right? So, I mean, you could to certain things to a certain degree, but there's a cap on that indulgence, right? That's the reality we live in. But this is representing a financial transformation, transition that's coming into your life, and it's major. It's big, because the Empress, she has everything she can need and more. Like, this is the Empress here, pal, number 3. Like, this represents you being able to say, yeah, I can start to pay off that debt, or completely pay it off, that debt. Yes, I can get this new job and now it's paying me, $190K a year, or $100K a year, or $90K a year, whatever the case may be, but you're finally getting some stability within your life. And then also the Six of Pentacles can represent balance, 2 things at once. Something along the lines of that. And Venus itself also has a duality in it, in its nature, when it comes to having 2 sides to it. Which I talk about a little bit when I talked about Puva Falguni, and how they can be very dynamic in their self-expression. So I do want to say that this can represent balancing 2 jobs. That's where I was going with that, with the duality. So this can say, hey, I'm balancing work and school. I'm balancing the hobby and work. Or heck, maybe you're like me and you're balancing all 3. You got work, school, and hobbies. So this can represent, that major life transition where you're like, whoa, I've got a lot on my plate to juggle. But the good thing about this is that, it's balanced. It's not overwhelming. It's not pulling you apart. You're not like struggling from all of the time management. The commute's not killing you. This is like, okay, I'm in this transition where I am taking on 3 important duties. I'm a boss, I'm an employee, and I'm a student. So this is a lot going on. This is a lot going on here. So keep that in mind when we see all of these cards together with this major life transition. I'm trying to think of what else can we go into here. I think we kind of talked about the balance and the health. We've talked about like these connections, these relationships that you're forming, especially the one that you're forming with yourself. That's going to be so big. That's going to be so big, and that's happening. This can also represent, because the Six of Pentacles is about giving and doling out things, and also receiving. This is about receiving support. So this major life transition can be literally people are saying, I'm cheering you on. Oh my gosh, you started this new hobby. You want to be boxing now. And now you've got like family and friends like attending your boxing matches. Like so random, right? But like they're being supportive of you in that way. So this is like, oh, I'm receiving support for this. On the other hand, this can represent that you yourself are supporting others, and that can be like, I'm volunteering, I'm giving back my time to my community, I'm on the PTA, I'm working for a nonprofit, I am working for Doctors Without Borders. I don't know, like whatever the case may be. Whatever the case may be, I'm taking on a part-time job. Like this is something that you are giving back, literally like in a more charitable sense, or even just I'm giving back to society. So for example, you could have been a stay-at-home mom and you're saying, you know what, I'm going to take on a job now. Like I want to enter this new role and I want to, you know, give back to my community in that way, or I want to make my own money. Like or have more independence and things like that. I no longer want to rely so much on my wife, my husband, etc. I mean, it's not like anything wrong with relying on them. It's just saying, hey, I want a little bit more independence in that way. And then the last thing I wanted to say is, like, in terms of support, like, this could be quite literally financial, where this is saying, like, okay, I'm taking out loans, and that's technically support. That's government support in that way. And those loans could change your life to something major depending on how you invest in that. Oh, it could be student loans. Could be like I'm taking out a loan for a house. Could be like I'm taking out a loan for a business. Like I have access to capital and that's helping me to start my business. These are important things that are going to be a part of your next major life transition. Like I'm trying to give as many examples as possible to show what exactly will be happening for you, pal, number 3. One thing that we see is that, you know how people have like a minimalistic lifestyle? This is not minimalistic. This is maximus. Is that what you call it? What's the opposite of minimalism? Is it maxism? But this is like a maximus lifestyle where you're like, I'm getting the lavish Egyptian cotton sheets. I'm painting my walls. Forget that beige earth tone. I'm going for a vibrant flower design. I am going to add more crystals and I'm going to have like 6 couches, and it's very much like lavish. This is the Empress here, guys. When have you ever heard of an Empress who was not serving diamonds? And they have the lavish parties and they celebrate and everything's a good time. It's just very much an abundance, extravagant type of energy with the Empress here, okay? And so this next life transition is happening for you is going to be a place where you feel like you can, you know, spend your money like it's going out of style, like in a way, because you're going to be investing in experiences that make you happy and make you feel good, or investing in items or things that make you happy and feel good, whatever the case may be. But this really is about growing in sort of growing financially, but it's growing in a way financially where you are being able to enjoy life and the things that you worked hard for, especially with the 7 of Wands, because this is all about being able to, you know, like demand a raise or work hard or apply for a new job and get that job or start your own business, whatever the case it is. But it's about building that wealth and protecting it, especially when we have these Empress and the 6 of Pentacles energy going on here. And, you know, I think the last thing I want to mention may possibly have to do where you are looking for environments that will facilitate and protect your peace, essentially, as they say on the internet. Well, this is all about, you know, asserting your boundaries, ensuring that people aren't draining you or that you aren't draining yourself with offering help. This is about self-care. This is about you having very good emotional health, stepping into personal power with the Empress here. So this next life transition really does become about ensuring that you get the things that you want, okay? That this is something that is your desire being fulfilled, and truly your desire and truly your need, not something that was whispered to you and something that you've been convinced of, not some ad you saw on Instagram and now 5,000 people are wearing the jacket and you're like, oh, actually that jacket looks good to me too now after I've seen it 5,000 times. It's like, no, this is something that is your desire, that is coming from your heart, something that is connected to something that you want. Okay, so I do want to say that I think I have covered the biggest major life transitions for you, pile number 3. Like, this is such great energy coming your way. You do get opportunities to relax. You do get opportunities to enjoy yourself. You are able to work on any sort of self-love that you might have been struggling with. You are able to grow in intelligence. You're able to get support and opportunities and loans and capital if you're looking for those types of things. And possibly even gain some stronger relationships or love or connections, if that is what you're looking for. Now, I'm going to end it now because this camera is fighting me. Hopefully, my new battery pack arrives soon, so that I don't have these issues anymore. But that is all I have for you, pal. Number 3, please let me know how you feel about the reading, if it resonates. If you don't like this, pal, feel free to choose a different one, or maybe I'm not the reader for you. Either way, I'm happy you stopped by. Au revoir. Hey, pal. Number 4, let's get started on the major life transition coming your way. So, I did want to get started with these Astro dice, but let's pull the cards first. We have the 9 of Cups. We have the Chariot. We have the Devil. We have the Tower. And we have Abundance. Now let's roll these Astro dice. I'm so excited that I got these. I've seen these everywhere, and I love astrology, so having new ways to present them is amazing for me. So, we have Leo, we have the 2nd house, and we have Pluto. Wow. Okay, Leo, 2nd house, Pluto here. Energy going on. So, what major life transition is coming for you is very much so giving exactly what this card said, abundance, right? And what this card is talking about is mainly like self-love and true abundance in that way. But really, when we have this Pluto 2nd house Leo transformation going on here, transition, what really is happening is the fact that your physical finances are more likely changing. Now, like I said, this does have to do with like self-love and all of this jazz and things along the lines of that, and feeling empowered, because Pluto in the 2nd house, ultimately, it can make people feel empowered. So we have 2 things going on. If I'm going to get my thoughts clear and straight so that you guys understand. We have you rising in confidence, rising in self-love, feeling empowered, feeling strong, feeling confident within yourself. Second thing that we have is the actual value, the worth, the money story coming in. That is growing. That is becoming more powerful. You are becoming more stable. You are becoming more secure within your finances, and you are becoming more confident within your finances in yourself. That is what this abundance energy is all about. We have Pluto recently transiting signs from Capricorn to Aquarius, and it's going to be there for the next 19 years. So you've had this Capricorn Pluto story for a long time, since 2008. And wherever Capricorn is in your natal chart, that is probably the part of your life that is transformed completely. I can say that for sure for mine. Not to reveal my entire chart or anything, but yeah, for sure, it's been like a huge transformation looking back in that area of where it was transiting for me. So this is what's going to be happening for you as well. And not only that, but 2nd house themes deals with a lot of themes of family, a lot of themes of like what you put into your body. So for example, usually transits to the 2nd house are going to have to deal a lot with weight loss or weight gain, depending on how this transit goes for you. And I think that makes a lot of sense, considering we have this 9 of Cups energy, which I know is my food card. So you're probably going to be making some major changes in your diet. A lot of these transitions that I'm noticing coming for you is something that you're putting in place and you're putting into action. Don't get me wrong, with all of these major arcana, there does seem to be this faded energy coming in. But for the most part, this is a lot of your actions pushing and propelling you forward. I do want to say that. So this 9 of Cups energy, it lets me know that you are transitioning the what you eat, what you put into your body, how you fuel yourself. It can represent the things that fuel you that are not necessarily food, which is your value system, your beliefs, your morals. Those things could be changing. The second house is also something like, for example, second house can be how you view beauty, right? Like, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The second house is the representation of how a person can behold beauty and how they think of beauty and things along the lines of that. Especially since it deals with, you know, self-worth and self-esteem. So it's like how you can see your beauty as well as how you can see other people's beauty as well. I'm just giving you an example of like values that happen with these transformations. So you're having a transformation of your value system. It's so interesting. We have another pile that's kind of similar in that fact that they are also having this upgrade in this money story and then also this change of value system. Granted, the other card is a little different, but we do have another pile that is like, that part is very similar. So if you're drawn to that pile, I wouldn't be surprised, especially with this portion coming on here. Leo in particular energy. Leo, Pluto and Leo generation was that Hollywood glam generation. It was the generation that propelled Hollywood in front of us, that messaging, that medium, that media, that starlet type of energy. And so when we have that going on here, more than likely, this is you sort of stepping into this era where you're feeling a lot more confident, where you want to be a bit more glamorous, where you want to express yourself in a creative manner, where you want more freedom when it comes to how you construct your image or how you present yourself in the world. Leo is all about, you know, that presentation. Also, it can deal with a lot of excitability and wanting to dance and explore and have fun and have a great time. But it can be a very honest sort of placement, and thus it can be very controversial because Leos can, well, they may not sugarcoat things, you know, it's like a fire sign energy thing. So this is you stepping into, you know, your true feelings and letting people know about how you think and how you feel and what's important to you. And you're doing it in a way that may be a little bit shocking to others because maybe you've gone from a more meek and mild position to something that's very like, whoa, you're like this lightning power strike tower energy going here. But that is what I 100% see coming for you. Another thing that we want to get into when we have this type of energy is that you may also be changing the media that you choose to consume. That you yourself may decide that this messaging and the media that you consume isn't aligned with your values. Now that's more third house, but it can deal with the second house as well because like I said, it's talking to who you are as a person and what you feel aligns with you personally. That's something that is coming up. Okay, so I do want to make that clear. Now, let's get into the rest of these cards because I don't want to keep going on about the astrology, but we'll probably incorporate this. We'll probably incorporate this along the way. Now, what we have here is with the Chariot, the first thing that comes to mind is for major life transitions that are coming your way is possibly you're moving to a place that is going to make you feel more fulfilled. That is going to bring a lot more happiness and peace of mind. Now, this could be going overseas. This could be just, you know, moving to a different neighborhood, moving to a different state, moving to a different country, whatever the case may be. But when we get the Chariot, that does indicate some type of moving or traveling, at least, at the very least. So a major life transition could be happening where you're like, I'm going to go decide to travel more. I'm going to go to my dream place, my dream country, my dream vacation. Excuse me, this abundance energy that you're having where you're showing appreciation to yourself, where you're showing love to yourself, where you are putting energy into your own happiness and pleasure and enjoyment and fulfillment. And I truly think that's what this Devil card is giving in this reading. Because, you know, normally the Devil can be so restrictive and so like, oh my God, this is toxic type of energy. But the Devil card here is kind of representing, I think, in this sort of scenario, more like hedonistic things, which is essentially just enjoying yourself and having fun. Like, oh my gosh, I'm drinking some wine at a vineyard. Like, I'm like throwing myself into this pleasurable atmosphere where I feel, you know, excited and comforted and happy and fulfilled. And I believe that this is a transition that is coming your way along the lines of that. But this can also be breaking away from, you know, the typical things, bad habits. When we have the devil card here followed by the tower, you know, that's representing being something that you have had like this foundation in for so long that no longer suits you. And this deck here is the Before Tarot deck. So that is why the tower is sort of like standing straight up, because this is letting me know that you've probably been thinking about this for some time and you've kind of felt like this was on the horizon. And so this may not be as big of a shock as you think, because you can already see the lightning in the background and the storm is forming. And I feel like that is already what's happening in your life. You're already taking a good look at the areas that are no longer connected to the story that you want to create for your life. And you're ready to tear down those structures. You're ready to break free. You're ready to put yourself in that new environment. And you're ready to get from this space where maybe you felt more restrictive. Maybe you felt like, oh my gosh, work is taking all my time. School is taking all of my time. My responsibilities to, you know, my kids, my family, whatever the case is taking all my time. Now I'm moving away from that. Now I'm no longer having to do that. I need to break free. I need to do things that are going to bring me joy, that are going to bring me fulfillment, that are going to make me happy. So this can represent a complete and total lifestyle change as well, which I should have said with the, you know, second house Pluto energy as well. But for sure, this can represent a total lifestyle change. This can represent you deciding that you no longer want to have this sort of restrictive routine for yourself, and you actually want to do something that is going to align with who you are as a person. So I want to mention that. I do want to say something for this pal, is that this can represent, if this hasn't already happened, this can represent a transition when it comes to a new job. Now, with the tower here, I don't want to worry you. I don't want to concern you. I don't want to just throw a bunch of negative ideas at you, but I do want to be realistic. With the tower here next to the devil card, that can represent being laid off. That can represent job loss. That can represent, you know, suddenly having to be out of work for whatever case scenario, like, oh, I got into an accident, I can't work my job, whatever the case may be. So I did want to throw that out there, because the tower and the devil card, sometimes they can represent very scary moments, and I don't want to overlook that and give you this very like rainbow childlike version of events that could possibly be going on. I do want to mention the seriousness of that for sure. I know when I've had some major life transitions and transits to the second house, there were some issues with job stability, okay? There was some things going on that I was like, okay, this is not going to last very long, right? So I do want to keep that in mind, and especially since we have this Pluto in the second house. From what I've heard and what I've seen is that people who have had this transition can go from these crazy ups and downs when it comes to money, where they have like a whole bunch of money coming in, they spend it or they lose it in some manner, and then they are back to broke, and then they gain it back up again. So that could also be part of the major transition, where you're having this overhaul of finances and things along the lines of that. So I just want to throw that out there. But essentially, when I see these two cards, it's almost like I'm retiring a career. I'm retiring a narrative. I'm retiring a dream. I'm retiring a goal. I'm retiring a status to some degree. So for some of you, let's say you were in a relationship And you've been kind of pulling together to get this relationship together for a while, but you've noticed that things haven't been working out. Things have been a little bit rocky. This can be a transition where it's like a change of status from, hey, I'm in a relationship, I'm married, to I'm single. So I do want to throw that out there. So not to like put a damper on anyone's happiness or anyone's cloud nine, because essentially I do think that this is this sort of eat, pray, love period. This period where you are seeking things that fulfill you, that you are throwing nurturing materials and energies into your life. And I think that's the overall essence of this reading. You're feeding yourself things that sustain you and bring you happiness and joy and fulfillment. Remember that Leo energy, which is all about that entertainment I just described, that Hollywood era, that glam, that fun, that excitement, that like, let us bring excitement and glamour to the next level. That is what you're doing to your life. Like, let's bring happiness and fulfillment and glamour to the next level in my life. It cannot be this dissatisfactory or this routine or this restrictive all the time. I have to have fun. You're bringing more fun into your life. And that's something that's going to be a new thing that's going to be happening. Next thing we have here is the most obvious thing, which is a positive interpretation of these cards, which is, you know, gaining some sort of victory over any sort of addiction or any sort of bad habit, whether that be anything from like alcohol, smoking, drugs, to food, right? Like, that's a common addiction for people in America, right? But people don't think about it that way. But yes, a lot of people are addicted to food as well. Addicted to toxic mindsets, addicted to bad relationships, addicted to I don't know, scrolling on social media, like doom scrolling, like addicted to whatever the case may be. Everyone has some sort of like imbalance in their life. But this is you course correcting that imbalance and focusing on things that have to do with a lot of positivity. Positivity is the word. A lot of abundance coming into your life. This can represent weight loss as well. If you are looking to lose weight, I've already said that with this, but these cards reiterate weight loss. When we go from the Nine of Cups to the Chariot to the Devil of the Tower, that's definitely like weight loss energy here for sure. If we're just literally talking about shedding this new image and achieving a lot of victories. When we have the Chariot and the Devil card, this can be a transition pertaining to leadership, taking on more leadership roles. I've gotten Chariot to definitely represent someone being in power, someone being in a great position, someone who has achieved a lot, someone who's put in that effort and they're shining and they're victorious in what it is that they want to accomplish. This can be something along the lines of graduating, because that is a huge major life transition. That is a huge effect that can happen in your life that may be coming for you. And it could even be something like vice versa, but starting school. But I will say, when we have the Chariot, it's usually a little bit further along in the race. It's usually like I've not started something, I'm kind of in the middle of something, and actually I just finished something. That's why it's the victory type of card here, right? So that's why I focus more so on graduating rather than like, okay, I've started something. Same with the Tower. The Tower is like, we've already built something up. We do need to start anew, but we haven't started yet, especially since this is the Before Tarot deck. Nothing has started yet. It hasn't started yet for that type of interpretation. Okay, that is what I'm focusing on here. But yes, this could be a move, as I've stated before. Like, oh, I moved out of my parents' house, I moved out of my grandma's house, whatever the case may be. This can be something along the lines of, hey, I've just learned how to drive. Like, if we focus a lot on that Chariot energy here, and things that have to do with really overcoming a narrative that you may have for yourself that could possibly be negative. This could be something along the lines of, let's say you're thinking, oh my gosh, no one likes me, I'm never going to be able to get married or have the friendships that I want or make the connections that I want to make or network or something along the lines of that, when we have the devil in the tower, that is about destroying that sort of mindset and focusing more so on abundance, or as people call it like these days, an abundance mindset. Like, I have opportunities coming for me. I can get the things that I want. I can, get married one day, have kids, if that's what you're looking for, or get the job that I want, or make these friendship circles that I want, whatever the case may be. This is all about this major life transition when it comes to shifting your mindset for a lot of you. So I do want to say that. This can also represent breaking free from being dependent on someone or something. Because we focus a lot on the devil card. We talk about addictions, and the tower can be like breaking away from those cycles as well. But sometimes it's not really just addictions. It's just more so dealing with becoming more independent, being more focused on yourself, or not having some other entity or person to rely on. So that's why I gave the example of like, okay, I'm moving out of my parents' house. It's like gaining more freedoms, gaining more independence, gaining more. I've got to make more decisions for myself. I have to take on more responsibilities for myself. I have to deal with these crisis situations on my own. So that's something that is coming here. Though I will say in this next cycle, because we have this Nine of Cups being here first, there's still a level of dependency. Because the Nine of Cups, you can see this person is being served this, like literally they got their whole meal being served on a platter to them. So they're definitely depending on the work and the service of people around them. But this can be like a move in the direction towards independence. So I do want to say that. This can also have to deal with coming out about some secret that you may have had for so long, or even just expressing vulnerabilities or expressing your truth. Maybe if you felt like you couldn't fully express yourself, you couldn't stand strong in your opinions, you couldn't stand strong in your convictions, you couldn't fully be yourself around maybe certain individuals. And now this major life transition is coming in where you finally get to feel confident enough to say, hey, if this person is going to reject me, they're going to reject me. And that is what it is. But I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to do the things I want to do, say the things that I want to say, and live the life that I want. Okay? So I do want to mention that. All right? Major transitions coming here. Major transitions. I think I might have already mentioned rebuilding credit. If not, maybe I just had it in my mind. It's hard to say with the camera cut off and everything like that, but paying off debt, starting anew in terms of that. I think I did focus that on a little when I brought in this like Pluto second house energy here, when it comes to that, because the devil can be bound to like credit card debt, or, I have an addiction to shopping. I have addiction to spending money, things along the lines of that. I have addiction to eating out. A lot of people order a lot of Uber Eats, and then they're like, where's my money for the month, right? And it's like, let me actually create a budget. And now I see I'm spending 40% of my income on Uber Eats, and I don't need to do that. This is that major life transition that's coming in that will save you money. And this is obviously for something that's major. Like if you're, like I said before, if you're spending like 40% of your income on Uber Eats, then yeah, that's something major. We're not talking about minor things that are just like, okay, if I shift this around a little bit, then, I have some changes in my life. No, this is like, if I shift this around, this is going to bring a lot more wealth and stability into my life. So focus on something. The focus is on something that is major. The focus is on something that is going to be huge. Okay. I do want to say that and reiterate this with these readings. And then the last thing I want to mention, which may be for like a smaller group for you, for you people, I don't know what I'm saying, you people, for you astronauts out there. You people sound so weird. I don't know. I don't like that. For the last group, I do want to mention this because this came to my mind, is that, sometimes we get this tower energy. It can have to do with like going under the knife. So this major life transition can have to do with a surgery, whether that is something that is focusing on something more medical. I don't really go into the medical that much, but I know it is a part of our reality. We have to deal with our health. So I'm just going to leave that one as that. But for others of you, this could possibly have to do with going into ninth and plastic surgery, because the devil has to deal with seduction and attractiveness and, you know, wanting to be more appealing to people. That is what that is all about. Same with the Chariot. The Chariot doesn't just want to hide in the shadows. They want everyone to see them. And so when we have that coming here, we can focus a lot so it's not a bit, a lot on physical transformation, which can be going under the knife. Same with this Pluto second house energy, because Pluto second house can be like a transformation of the face, which can have to do with going under the knife, you know, getting a nose job, getting that buccal fat, is that what you call it, removal, getting like a cat eye, whatever the surgeries are that are happening. It may not even be surgery. It could be a procedure where you're putting lipo into your skin and all these other things that may be microneedling, like anything that's focusing on improving the appearance. That is something that is a major life transition, and it actually affect your life in a powerful way. I do want to say that. Unfortunately, we live in a society where people are shallow. So if you are even thinking about making those changes, I'm going to say it's going to have a beneficial outcome potentially on your career. So just want to say that. But that is what I want to give and tell you, pal, number 4. These are the major life transitions that are coming your way. There may even be some moments where you hit rock bottom and it causes like this revelation for you that you have to make some major changes. I think that's going to be, at least for 60% of you, that's what's going to be happening. If we're speaking in a more general sense, I did want to throw in obviously some examples so you astronauts could get a feel of just exactly what these major life transitions could possibly be. Because this, pal, is really about this huge transformation of positive things coming in, breaking away from bad cycles, making major changes in your life that's going to attract a lot of abundance. So just want to throw that out there. But I will see you next time. If this doesn't resonate with you, feel free to choose another pile, or you could choose another reader. Either way, I'm happy you stopped by, and I'm so sorry for all the interruptions. We'll try to keep it a little bit more professional next time. And I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal. Number 5. Let's get started on what major life transition is coming your way. We have the Hierophant. We have the Queen of Swords. We have the High Priestess. We have Death. And we have Learn for our affirmation card. Before we get started, I did want to roll these Astro dice, because this is Astro-Tarot research, so we got to get in here with the Astro dice and see what major life transition is coming your way. We have Aquarius, 4th house, and Jupiter. And I love how this switched to Leo, but we're going to use it as Aquarius. Though that may be a message for some of you that a different interpretation. Anyway, we have Jupiter going through the 4th house, Aquarius, and that to me lets me know that you're going to go through some major life transitions regarding your home, your emotional state, or your peace of mind. Now, from my own personal experiences with Jupiter going through the 4th house, it tends to be a period of a lot of deep self-reflection and emotional growth. That's what happened to me the last time personally with Jupiter going through my 4th house. But for some other people, I've seen Jupiter have them relocate, move, go to a different place, move back. Like it's been more of a physical transformation of going and moving and uprooting and going somewhere versus emotionally uprooting. But it can be either of the two. So keep that in mind. And when we have this Aquarius-like energy, obviously Aquarius deals with a lot of finances, a lot of friendships, has to do with putting yourself out there more. So in a way, this lets me know that either you're going to be opening the lines of communication within your home, or you may even be expanding your mind within your home, because that's what Aquarius likes to do, especially in the 4th house. But it does really put a strong emphasis on moving or even thinking about buying a home or trying to learn about it. There's a strong emphasis when it comes to education, especially if we're in a sign like Aquarius. They like to make those big plans and to think ahead. Aquarius is often connected to the future and futuristic. Think about how Pluto, which I think by the time this video's out, will fully be in Aquarius for the next quite a long time. Next couple of years, it's going to be in Aquarius for some time. But essentially, the last time it first got into Aquarius, we had that big AI boom, which was like, was that 2003? Like March, that area. So a whole bunch of AI stuff came out. So what I'm saying when it comes to this connection is that you may start thinking about upgrading your home or innovating or learning, or how you could transform, how you can expand, how you can build, how you can buy properties. Like, this is something that it can have to do with the 4th house. And this can also represent getting to know more about your own homeland or your roots. I've had other major transits and seen this in people where if they have like a transit to the 4th house, even Jupiter, Saturn, but doesn't really matter. But it can bring about learning a little bit more about your roots and your ancestry. Perhaps you take one of those 23andMe or Ancestry.com tests and you learn more about your ancestry. But either way, that's going to be something that's going to be majorly life transforming for you. Keep that in mind coming up pretty soon. And I'm going to say soon, we'll say in the next possible year, because we don't want any thing to be like 5 years from now. But that's going to be a major transformation that's going to be happening for you in your life. Perhaps you reveal you have some long lost sibling. Perhaps you connect with family members that you never really connected with before, especially like, let's say you're adopted and you finally get to meet your adopted father or mother, or not adopted father, you know, your biological father, your biological mother, whatever the case may be. That can be an expansion. And this can also be like an expansion of bringing more family members into the home. So that could either be you physically having a child yourself, or maybe your, brother has a child, or your sister has a child, or something along the lines of that. But it can be an expansion of family members. So keep that in mind. And that can definitely be a major life transforming event. So that is what we have for you with the Astro Dice. Keep that in mind. And yeah, keep that in mind. Jupiter wants to expand. So that's why I focus a lot on the emotional expansion as well as the physical, we're going places expansion. So backpacking off of those themes of transforming your inner world, transforming your inner light, your emotional growth, we have the High Priestess and the Hierophant. And something that we have both in common with these two cards, something that both of these cards have in common, I should say, is the fact that they download messages from beyond the veil, or from the Hierophant, from above, from, some godlike figure from the universe, whatever the case may be, from the divine. They're both interpreting messages from the divine. And so maybe this is more of a spiritual growth for you, pal. Number 5, this major transition lets me know that you are becoming more aligned with your intuition, more aligned with your psychic nature, more aligned with yourself spiritually. If you are someone who can read auras, if you are someone who, has psychic visions, or if you're someone who's like me, who's a tarot card reader, this can represent strong developments in those areas. I mean, you're really going to be spiritually attuned, okay? Like this is something that's really major. This isn't something that's just a small spiritual growth. This is the major life transitions we're talking about here. So you're going from a place where maybe you're spiritually in tune, maybe you have a strong sense of intuition, but now when we have the Hierophant here and we have the High Priestess, it's almost like you become an authority in that space, meaning people will respect you for your spiritual visions or spirituality, or your psychic channeling or something along the lines of that, you know, they feel like, oh, wow, you're the person to go to talk to about, you know, the non-material world from beyond the veil. They're like, if I know someone to go to, if I get a feeling or inkling or something about, you know, something that seems a little bit unusual, you're going to be that friend I go to. You're going to be that family member I go to. So even if you're not like authority figure, like let's say on social media where maybe you establish a presence, you may just be an authority figure for that, for people within your life, people within your local area, people within your space, which kind of makes sense when we have this, you know, Jupiter 4th house feel to it that we're looking with the Astro dice. Because that can represent, like I said, an expansion of your community, expansion of your homeland, connecting to more people around you. So it's like establishing yourself within your natal home, your natural home environment where you were born, or at least where you were raised, because the 4th house can be sort of either. Most people, you know, kind of raised around where they were born, but essentially that is what it's doing for you. It's making you an authority in that area. Now, this can also represent things that are non-spiritual. Perhaps this is more so doing with that emotional maturity factor. I'm sorry if this sounds so, you know, psychological and like a therapy session here, but a lot of the major transformations for you, keep in mind, are going to be below that horizon line if you've seen an astrology natal chart, meaning you have the 1st house, 2nd house, 3rd house, 4th house, 5th house, etc., and it goes all the way to the 12th house. Things that are below that line are, you know, the 2nd house, the 3rd house, the 4th house, the 5th house. These are things that are not seen by other people, so they represent more of an inner transition. So when we have this Jupiter expanding your 4th house, things that are below the horizon, then yeah, a lot of the major transitions are going to be more so on a psychological, spiritual level. They're going to be things that people aren't going to be privy to unless you invite them into that space. And it's important to note that the 4th house is the darkest part of the chart. It's the part that no one can see. It's like your private life, you know, unless you reveal that to people. People have no clue what you do at home. People have no clue what you go home and do unless you choose to reveal that, you know, or unless you have some kind of other unusual circumstance going on. But for the most part, people's private lives are people's private lives, right? So the transformation that's happening for you is going to be in the private space of your own home, your own environment, of your own little corner nook, you know, your emotional transformation, your psychological transformation, your mental transformation. This is a spiritual level up, if we want to call it that. You are emotionally mature. You are wiser. You are more spiritually attuned. You are more confident. You are someone who is able to take on strong emotional challenges, who is able to even take on strong, maybe even spiritual attacks. I don't know, but whatever the case may be that's going to happen and that's going to be coming your way is that it's a deepening of your spirit. You know, you're becoming like this wise sage, like guru figure for people around you. And the thing that I love about the Hierophant is this mediator card. So like I was trying to say before, but my mind just kind of scatters and goes all over the place because of my dyslexia, is the fact that the Hierophant can be this peacekeeper. It can be this person that is this mediator among friends and family. So even if it's not like, okay, I'm this respected spiritual figure in my homeland, like it doesn't have to be that dramatic. It just could be something along the lines of like, my friends come to me when they have problems, and that's going to be something that's going to be happening more and more and more. So you kind of might need to get used to it. That's something to keep in mind here. You know, people went to the High Priestess for advice. People go to the Hierophant for guidance. Like, this is about guidance. This is about teaching. This is about learning. Okay, which brings me back to this affirmation card. And let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at what it's saying that's going to be happening for you. The time is upon you to broaden your horizons, but it doesn't have to be in a traditional sense. For not all education takes place in a classroom, and not all learning is found within books. What speaks to your soul right here, right now? Now, that is just a portion of the card. I don't want to read the whole thing and have you guys tune out, but essentially we get the message here. It is about growing and learning, not even just, as the cards here, the affirmation card just said, it's not even just about traditional learning, though we can get into that in a minute. But it has to do with learning who you are, learning your purpose, learning what you connect with, learning what sits right for you emotionally, building emotional resilience, building stronger sense of empathy and love and compassion for yourself and others. That is what these cards do. They try to help people get along. They try to guide people towards a higher path with the Hierophant and the High Priestess. And then the Queen of Swords right in the middle is you're using the tools that you have, which with the Queen of Swords, she has strong communication skills to help people navigate possibly their inner troubles, their inner struggles, any advice to do with relational things, relational matters. These are the things that possibly are going to be happening a lot more for you. And it could even be strangers coming to you saying, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do about this thing and that thing. And you're just like, hey, this situation sounds familiar. I think that you should do this based on X, Y, and Z, something along the lines of that. Because one thing about the Queen of Swords is that she is going to be someone who has a lot of conversations with people. And the more conversations you have with people, the more your intellect grows, because you learn from their experiences. You learn about who they are as people, and you gain deeper insight into the world around you and just how complex and nuanced it is. And you stop seeing things as black and white. And so now you have all this knowledge. Now you have all these strong communication skills. And now it's the time that not only are you, teaching other people, but now you're growing and learning more and developing stronger connections. So this whole pile here is about growing and learning and teaching and developing. So this major transition comes between your relations with people. And the strongest indicator that we have here is family, understanding more about their perspective and things along the lines of that, or people who feel like family, people who feel close to you. So keep that in mind. Those are going to be the biggest transformations. Perhaps you become more open and vulnerable with your friend group, or they come more open and vulnerable with you, or vice versa, or something along the lines that same situation with family. And if you're married, then obviously, your spouse will be your family. So perhaps this is a reevaluation of how you choose to communicate with each other, and you decide to lean into that vulnerability just a little bit more. I mean, I know this doesn't sound like the most exciting transformation. It's like whoop-de-doo, emotional maturity. But but this is good because it brings about peace of mind. It makes you a very strong and intelligent person. You have very strong discernment. You'll be able to spot people's BS like that with these. This combination of cards is it's going to be hard for anyone to get anything past you. And not only that, but when you have this kind of discernment, it helps you to be able to predict behaviors and patterns and see those things within people. So one thing about me, like I just said, I have dyslexia. And one thing that's good about dyslexia is that you're able to see patterns and stuff a lot better than maybe people who don't have it. So possibly this is giving you a more alternative mindset, kind of like dyslexia does. Gives you that alternative mindset so that you can look at things from different vantage points, and you're able to now see things through their lens, through their perspective, understand their goals, understand their story, understand their feelings. And it's going to help you build stronger connections. And not only that, but like I said, it's going to help you grow emotionally. It's going to help you learn. Now back to what I was going into before, where we do have the spiritual side, but I'm sure some of you, it may not be this huge transformation of spiritual growth. Same with before with the astro dice, where it may not be the emotional expansion, may just you be physically moving. For some of you, it may not be that spiritual transformation. It literally just may be you learning something. You may be going back to school. You may be taking a course. You may be someone who decides to pick up a skill. For example, I took a sewing class, right? So I'm trying to like learn to sew eventually if I have more time. So it could be picking up a skill. It can be going back to school, as I mentioned, taking a certificate, taking a course, an online course. But whatever the case may be, this is all about learning. And the learning can, like, as the card said, be outside of the classroom, where you're not just learning from a more boxy cookie cutter sort of way, but maybe you're looking on YouTube and you're like, you know what? I want to learn to build my own generative AI. So I'm going to sit down and look at YouTube videos and learn how to do it. I want to learn to build a video game. So I'm going to go on YouTube and watch these videos and learn how to do that. So you're outside of a classroom and you're taking a more alternative approach to learning, but you're still learning. So this this period in your life that's going to be so transformative is going to be about upping those skills. And that is even reinforced by this Queen of Swords card. Because the Queen of Swords is all about skill set. She's all about learning. She's all about navigating. How can I best utilize the tools in front of me? How can I supercharge my intellect and apply it in a way that is fair and balanced and brings me more tranquility within my life, you know? So things along the lines of that. But this may be a strong period of learning and growth, you know. Once again, doesn't sound exciting, but like for me personally, I know I've had plenty of periods of learning and growth. I can't even tell you about the past year I've been. Not to make everything about me. I just like to give examples so that you all can better understand it. So for example, this can represent you taking a lot of different classes and trying a lot of different things. Like, oh, I'm going to take a Zumba class. I've never taken one before. Oh, I'm going to take a pole dancing class. I've never taken a pole dancing class before. I'm going to take a cooking class. I've never taken a cooking class. Like, it's just like, let me try all these new things. I want to learn to play the drums. I want to try to play piano. I want to learn to make my own perfume. Like, it's a period of learning more about the world around you and how things work. I want to learn about taxes. I want to learn about tariffs. I want to learn about finances, whatever the case may be, whatever you're putting your mind to. But this whole period, your mind is about to expand and blow up. Like, for sure, guys. We have gotten like the Hierophant representing learning. We've got the Queen of Swords who's always trying to learn and read a book. You know, that's her vibe. We have the High Priestess who is literally holding the Torah, and she's studying and she's downloading messages from beyond the veil, and she is interpreting things, and so she's always growing. She's literally got a book in her hand. So this period of learning and growth is coming for you, whether you like it or not, but it's transforming you into a very intelligent person. Not that you're not intelligent already, but it is growing the intellect. It is growing the mind. And one thing I love about this, which is another astrological way to see this, is the High Priestess connected to the moon and the Hierophant is connected to Taurus. And when you have your moon in Taurus, the moon is exalted in Taurus, meaning it's at its most stable, which means it's open to experiencing things. It has a level of empathy, a level of vulnerability. It has this energy of non-judgment. Let me just enjoy and feel things. I'm not anxiety driven. I'm more appreciative of the world around me. But the most important thing that I'm trying to reconnect back to this thing is the moon in Taurus is the moon being open-minded. When you have a Taurus moon, they're always open to receiving information that is practical, that it makes sense, that is something that they can utilize, but it's always like, I want to receive information. I want to take things in. I want to understand. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to try things. Like, it's this energy of I want to experiment and try things and change things, a transformation, which we didn't even get into this death card here, but that is the energy of it. And it's kind of interesting because we do also have this Death card, which is connected to Scorpio, which is the opposite of Taurus, which can be a little bit more anxious and more protective energy. So perhaps this is letting me know that there's possibly some resistance on your part, or what this might be picking up on, the fact that is a lot of this changing, a lot of this learning is hard. I mean, learning is very difficult. Trying new things is very difficult. Change and transformation is so draining. Okay, so I think that is what this combination of cards is letting me know, is that it's picking up on the fact that, yeah, you will be growing. Yeah, you're going to be someone who's going to learn some lessons, grow in discernment, be smarter, be more creative, transform who you are, become this wise, calm, beautiful, amazing person who has a good head on their shoulders and has their ish together. But it's going to be a little bit challenging, which is good. We want that challenge, because that challenge comes with growth. I mean, if you don't have a challenge, how are you growing? And then it just kind of reiterates everything that I was saying before with the 4th house, emotional growth, expansive. I love how when all these cards come together, I love how all the themes, the dice, the cards, the affirmations, they all say the same thing, that you're going to go through this period of emotional transformation. When we have the Death card, come on, that represents that 8th house, that energy, that psychological field, the house of let me explore my inner world. So what we know here is, when we talk about learning, is that we're talking about exploring ourselves, maybe through therapy, maybe through introspection, possibly through meditation, possibly through astrology, possibly through tarot, possibly taking on a new job role, a new career, which, I mean, yeah, to some degree these cards can connect with. Though that's not the entire focus, but that can connect to that. Let's say that. Let's throw that out there. Developing new technical skills, learning a language. How could I forget languages? Like the moon connected to Taurus is something that comes up strongly when it has to do with language, speech, and sound. So these can be things along the lines of learning a new language, or learning how to master sound, which can have to do with music and creativity and poetry, things along the lines of that is what I want to say. But it really can do with you more than likely exploring yourself and growing from a psychological perspective, is what I'm getting here. I mean, the Death card in general just represents transformation. It represents being able to change and grow. So the fact that we have the Death card, the card of transformation and change, in a reading about the, the next big sort of like transition period coming your way, lets me know that it's going to be pretty major, guys. Like, this is going to be something very much that will uproot you from your past self. Your past self is dying. Who you are today is more than likely not going to be the same person you are a year from now. So I want to keep that in mind. Like, this is a period where you're about to release and surrender a lot of the possible ways of thinking or happiness, values that you previously had. And I speak about values because the Hierophant connects to values and things like that. A lot of those are coming to an end. Like, do you have Pluto? Like, I know Pluto's changing signs, like I said before at the beginning of this video, but are some of you having like Pluto transit like your 2nd house, or Pluto transit your 8th house, or like or Pluto like conjunct your moon or something like that? Because the fact that we have like this transformation of values going on here says a lot to me. And not only is this transformation of values so important, in a sense that it's bringing you a lot of emotional changes, but those emotional changes are going to affect your environment. They're going to affect the job that you go for. They're going to affect how you see yourself, how you see others. They're going to affect how you connect to other people. You're connecting people on a deeper level. Now this is, the camera's going to cut off because I've been talking for too long, but I want to keep this in mind that this transformation is going to be huge, and there's going to be a transformation of your finances as well. I want to keep that in mind. But really, this becomes about being confident. Like Pluto and Moon people, haven't gotten into that yet in any videos, but Pluto and Moon people can be very confident. They also tend to be people who are highly intelligent. This is just my observations. They also can be controversial in the fact that they can be seen as sort of morally gray. Not to say that you're being seen as morally gray, but really it's about creating your own system of values that may not generally reflect society. So you might be a little bit more of ahead of your time is what I want to say. And then I'm trying to think of anything else, that they can be the type to express a great deal of curiosity and wanting to go out there and conquer through knowledge. Sometimes by force, but the fact of the matter is that they want to get things done in a way that's on their terms. So you're gonna have a lot of confidence, okay, coming your way. But that's what I have for you, pal, number 5. It's not my normal reading because I don't normally go into like the psychological stuff, but like that's what's happening for you. That's the major transition that's going on. That's really shifting, and your whole world's about to be rocked. But that's what I want to say, and hopefully I will see you next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if this pal doesn't resonate, feel free to choose another pal, or maybe choose another reader. Either way, I'm happy you stopped by. Au revoir.